Great. Hi, Jaya.
Hi.
So great that we found this time to have a chat today and to really talk about a lot of these areas of really fascinating topic around masculine and feminine relationships, which everybody loves to talk about and which we've spent a lot of time delving into so far.
Dude, it's awesome. It's beautiful. I'm pleased to be here, speaking from Costa Rica, knowing that you are uh, all the way in England.
And you obviously facilitate men's groups over there, don't you? You have a men's circle, and I found it very moving when you shared that a lot of the time, the subject of real prevalence that comes forward in your circle is relationship stuff.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, we've been working with the men's circle for about a year and a half right now, and yeah, a lot of topic we have speak about a lot of different topics, and one of the main things that have come up in sessions as kind of I would say most of the wounded stuff in men, it relates to relationships. And I think it has to do a lot with how patriarchy has wounded male psyche in different ways, and then how that has created an impact in the way that we relate to women and vice versa. But one thing I would say or one thing I'd like to touch upon with you today is related to the topic on leading as men, and how we as men can do that in a way that feels healthy, and why it is important for us to take on the lead in a way that is healthy for both men and women. But generally speaking, I feel that there is a misunderstanding, and in this kind of a new age movement, that men need to connect with their feminine side. I would say that is not to connect to their feminine side, but to connect to the conscious masculine side.
Yeah.
So to bring up all these qualities, of direction and growth and assertiveness and abundance and clarity, so that we don't depolarize each other.
Yeah. So it is about, it's kind of like balancing our inner masculine and feminine doesn't mean reducing my feminine and doesn't mean reducing your masculine. It just means actually raising them in vibration is the way that I see it. So like for me personally, instead of reducing my femininity and pushing forward my masculine, it's actually just about me becoming more feminine, but in a more divine way, in a kind of more conscious, healthy, balanced way. And I mean, going back to your original question, I think like, one of the key things for a woman, and this is what gets misunderstood, is that a key thing for a woman is safety. That's when she really, really opens up. That's when she can just drop all of her masculine that needs to keep in control and organize things and lead things. She feels safe. She can just like let go and open up, and then her beautiful feminine radiance comes out because she feels safe, and so she can relax and she can flow and be the feminine. And she also opens up sexually, but it's not feeling safe in the sense that because a man is being like a woman, and so she feels safe because she's like, oh, I can relate to him like I would one of my girlfriends, because he's all feminine, and because he's so he's just in his heart, and he's all sensitive, and he's being sweet, and his energy is very soft and passive. It's not that kind of safety that we're looking for. It's safety from a man who he knows who he is, and he's kind of like, he's centered. You know, he's like a tree trunk. You know, it's like he is rooted into the ground. He knows who he is. He knows what his purpose is, or at least he's, you know, he's on that path. And there's like this sense of like core within him, which is kind of unshakable. And because of that deep kind of rootedness within him, he doesn't get pulled around easily. He doesn't shake easily or wobble easily. So there's something that she can sort of hold onto in a way, because the feminine nature is so watery. It's like, you know, we need to see that strong core, you know, because if that core isn't there within the man, then, you know, then we need it. So we'll find it within ourselves. So it's kind of seeing that in a man, and the fact that when a man really has that, when he really kind of knows who he is and he has this inner core, then he's not threatened by the woman being in her power, in her kind of, you know, in all of her power and wisdom. He's not threatened by it. He can celebrate it. He can see it. He can be like, I see you. I see your beauty. I see your wisdom. I honor it. I respect it. And, you know, and I want to, in a way, it's like, I want to serve it. You know, like I want to, you know, do what I can for you. You know, let me lead. Let me kind of, you know, let me make this plan for us. I'm gonna take the lead to do this and this and this and this, because I see your beauty and your power and your strength, and I want to honor it. And the woman, in feeling that, she then doesn't need to prove her power or her independence or her strength, because it's being seen. So because she doesn't need to prove it, she's like, I feel safe. I trust you. And please lead. You can lead. I'm happy for you to lead, because your leading is coming from a place of respect. You know, it's not coming from a place of, I know better than you, or I'm the man, so I need to lead, or, you know, or you're my thing that I want to possess. You know, it's not coming from any of those places. So then it does kind of come down to that deep safety of being seen for us. And then we want the man to lead. And that's what we really actually deeply yearn for. You know, because we really, no matter how strong and powerful a woman is, no matter what she is coming across with, like, I am full power, I'm an independent woman, no matter what masculine energy she's presenting, she still deeply yearns to be able to just let go and have a man, like, hold it, you know, be able to hold it, so that she can just be in love. And
wow, guys, take note. I think you just put it beautifully, man. I was deeply touched with what you were saying and what you were talking, because it felt so authentic, and I felt that it came from such a place of acknowledging these two energies and have them in balance.
There's something now that I want to put to you on behalf of women, to see if there's some insights that we can gain around the way that men work. Because I have a lot of women in my community, and, you know, and we have a lot of women's circles, a lot of gatherings, a lot of groups where women share. And there's a lot of things that I could bring to you, but there's one thing that's been happening recently with a few women, where there's a repeated experience of where a man is pursuing a woman, and, you know, is kind of sharing his heart and sharing his beauty and his light with her. And then, you know, when it seems like he's then got her, when the woman then starts to get attached and starts to run with it and starts to you know, it's like he's kind of like caught her in a way, then he gets fearful and he withdraws, and then the woman, you know, obviously has a reaction and gets upset because she kind of allowed herself to get drawn into the level of energy at which he was presenting, but then he's not able to be consistent with it. So then she feels a bit betrayed because, you know, because she kind of got more into it. And this has been happening like a few times recently. So what do you think is happening there from your perspective? Like what is it that the man is doing? Because it seems like, okay, he's, you know, he wants to be with a woman, men want to be with a woman, they see a woman that they're attracted to, but then there's like some fear of freedom being taken away, or that there's, you know, an element of just liking the chase. What really needs to happen, perhaps, maybe there's like a deeper level at which men and women just need to start being completely and utterly authentically honest with each other.
I think it has a lot to do with that too, and with the wounds that we carry by years of also getting a love that is toxic too. You know, like it's kind of hard for us to just switch onto um, much more conscious way of loving each other, because uh, we've been dealing with the topic of love from a way that it feels so hurting and so disconnected.
Mm.
And so for us men, and I would say women as well, for us men to connect to this kind of more alternative or more conscious ways of loving each other, it also brings about anxiety too, because yeah, especially when one opens up a relationship that is based on honesty and transparent and like transparency, because when one opens up that window, then you have to be in a way ready to listen to things that can be quite um, tough to listen to,
Yeah.
and then the relationship becomes a relationship of growth, because you are constantly facing your shadow with each other, and most men are not ready to do that,
Mm.
because the level of vulnerability that it requires for a man to take on that side, and the how much of their shield they need to yield in
Mm.
order for they to be open enough, and how much of their masculinity they have to yield in order for them to be vulnerable enough to take on what the other is reflecting on you.
Mm.
It takes a lot um, of courage, and it takes a lot of, I would say, inner work for you to be open to receive um, this coming from an other, reflecting onto you. So I would say that that can also be one of the things, that men can feel threatened to get into a relationship that is based on these principles, because then a lot of um, the aspects of the old masculine have to be released,
Mm.
and this can be terrifying. you know. There is a lot of exposure then, and and one of the main things that we fear as men is that our fears are exposed, you know because then we would step in a place of not power,
Right.
and to be in a place of not power in front of a woman, for a man who hasn't connected yet to his tender side, is is impossible.
Mm.
Like, they won't be able to do it,
Mm.
because that means to shatter all that they've been holding to for years.
Wow.
So it can be quite threatening if man hasn't done this work yet. And if a woman is empowered, and if a woman has this kind of sense of security in herself, and the man is not there yet, men won't be able to open. They will feel too threatened to be there. They'll feel that they'll lose their power, and they'll be in a place of powerlessness, and they just won't be able to do that switch.
And what, from your perspective, what can a woman do in order to, what does a man need from a woman in order to help him to be able to open up?
So, well, I think it has to do with what you were saying before about how men take the lead, and how when a man takes on the lead from a place that is conscious, that is balanced, that is connected, then you as a woman can feel safe enough for you to relax in your feminine, because you know that it comes from a place of, that it doesn't comes from a place of power over, but that man is able to recognize the power in you as a woman, and that we know that you can take on the lead if you need to,
so what can we do?
yeah. So take, like, I've just taken the example that you were saying to bring it up to this as an area. Is the same, that woman needs to connect to this tender aspect of their femininity, to connect to their yeah, tenderness is the word that comes from me mostly. Like, if I am in front of a woman that I feel that she is connected, and that she is like, she is empowered, but at the same time she doesn't needs to put on this like shield of masculinity, but to relax into their femininity and be tender enough, and just allowing the men to feel secure in a way. I would say tenderness is the key word.
Brilliant, beautiful.
That it comes from a rooted place, like, what you want as a woman, and you are empowered enough, but at the same time you're putting your shield on the side. But for you to do that too, you have to feel secure enough, and you have to trust your conscious feminine side, so that um, you can open up yourself, and not feel that you will be hurted by the man that is in front of you.
Yeah.
So I would say, even if you don't feel that the man is, I would say, connected enough, or on his, like, conscious masculine side or whatever, if I would say, if you start to trust more on the power of being in your feminine, and the power of being tender as a sexual feminine essence that you have, and beautiful and relaxed, and you will lose the fear of being hurted by men, and you will be much more open to connect with men in a way that is tender and beautiful, and very feminine. That helps me a lot to connect with women, when I feel that it comes from that place.
Yeah.
And there is no, like, for me, the way I cannot connect with women is when I feel they're too in their masculine, but in a way that they feel defensive yet.
Yeah.
Which means that they are still very wounded, and they need to protect themselves too much. So they feel, like they have this kind of barrier or shield.
Yeah.
Like, they don't want to let go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. That was a really, gorgeous flow that you came through with there. So thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, thank you.
So we will continue these conversations another time. And yeah. That's all there is to say, really.
Yep. Yeah, yeah. I'll be pleased to continue with these conversations. I think they're very fruitful, and I take a lot of advantage in by speaking to you from your place as a woman, and by you sharing your experience as a woman. And I feel that this can be also, or I hope that this can be also of service to others as we share our experience in an spontaneous way. Um, yeah, thank you for the approach.
Thank you, and yeah, to any women watching, um, I'm I'm having these conversations with this man because I find him a very, very beautiful, conscious man that I personally have immense respect and trust in. So yeah, it's always great to have these conversations with you, Jaya or Fadrique. I don't know which to call you professionally because I know
Yeah,
you as Jaya, but
it's either ways. Yeah,
yeah. Okay.
yeah, and also for men that are listening to this, if you can take on notes, whatever you feel is that resonates or that rings true within you. Um, I also have deep trust in Karen. We've been talking about these topics um, for some time, and the way I feel with Karen when I speak about these things is very secure and very healthy, and I think that you guys um, can have, or you can take on a lot from these conversations. So take notes, and we will see each other soon.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.